This time. Awesome guest here, Nate Voyer. Been excited to have on. And don't forget bunker-bros.com. Get some merch, donate, help us build the app so we can connect veterans and make a big difference in each other's lives. So today we have Nate on. He's done a lot of amazing things. You know, he's a heart charger, SF guy, so not surprised there, right? But yeah, we're excited to have him on. And, you know, one of the first questions we usually ask is, how did you end up in the military?
How'd I end up in the military? Wow. End up? Is that what we're going with?
I mean, how did you choose to
Yeah.
be
I mean, that
awesome?
kind of makes sense. That's rarely on the top of someone's list, you know. It's like, how did you end up here in prison? I mean, the military. By the way, I love y'all's logo. The Bunker Bros logo. It's
Oh,
sick.
thanks, man.
Cool.
That's our VP, Matt.
It's like the sun setting on your career in the military. You know what I mean?
And G-Watt.
Yeah, and you what? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, So yeah, I joined a little bit later. I was 23 when I finally signed up. And I mean, it's not that much later, but you know, typically an enlisted guy, 18, 19, maybe 20.
Hmm.
Took me a bit. I didn't go, it wasn't because of college. I didn't go to college coming out of high school. Worked on a fishing boat for a bit. Moved up to LA at 19. Interested in some of the film and TV stuff and the storytelling side of things. Had no idea where to start, didn't know anybody. So didn't really pursue it like I did after the military. I kind of just had a good time is what I did. You know, I was living in Southern California, man, in the, you know, year 2000, 2001. And then
Oh, yeah.
September 11 happens after I'd probably been there about a year and a half. 9/11 happens. I thought about joining. A few months later, I turned 21. Uh, you know, still just didn't do it. I'd taken some firefighting classes before, and there was a bit of like, I think because of the firefighting classes, I probably didn't join the military right away because I was like, man, this is a real grown up job with like people's
Yeah.
lives in your hands, a lot of responsibility.
Hmm.
I'm not, I'm not the right guy for this. You know what I mean? I'm not organized enough and I'm not responsible enough. I can barely take care of myself. I can't be taking care of anybody else. And so I kind of held on to that for a couple more years before I finally joined. It really took going over to the Darfur. It's a region in Sudan, right on the border of Chad, that was in the midst of a genocide, you know, in 2003, 2004. Really before that and since. It's not like it's, you know, there's not constant fighting and civil war and you know, terrible things happening. But this was like the height of a genocide where 300,000 people had been killed, mostly women and children are um, flooding across the border into Chad and filling up these refugee camps, and they're understaffed.
Hmm.
And I read about this in a Time magazine article, and I was like, you know, I was kind of drifting at the time, feeling that tug. I didn't know what it was, but it was really purpose tugging at me, like needing a mission, needing to go fight for something,
Yeah.
um, and but not understanding what it was. And I remember reading that Time magazine, and it just like grabbed me and was like, you got to go, you know, go over there and just figure it out, help them out, do
Hmm.
whatever you got to do. And I called all the NGOs like Doctors Without Borders and Child Fund, and none of them would let me volunteer because I didn't have a college degree or any special skills that they saw as valuable, even though, you know, what I'm reading about, a lot of what was uh, lacking was uh, manual labor, you know, people
Uh,
to build the camps and help pass out the food rations and whatever that looked like, you know, just somebody that was willing to kind of do the dirty work.
hmm.
But you know, it's bureaucracy; those things aren't always easy. So I ended up doing is going to the AAA, and I bought a plane ticket for Chad, and I got a visa through the consulate, and I just flew over there, showed up, and figured it out once I got there. And yeah, and it was stupid and yeah, reckless. You don't know what you don't know. And I'd never been to, you know, besides Central America, I'd never really been to a developing country. And
Hmm.
this was another level. Plus it's in the midst of, you know, famine and civil war and all kinds of things like that. Um, but once I got there and I realized you can really just, if you just show up and kind of have the right attitude and feel things out a little bit and talk to people and let them know that you're here to help and that you don't want anything in return, like they'll put you to work. And I ended up getting on a UN flight out there in Chad and flew out to the camps and volunteered for about 60 days and completely changed my life. And by the end of that trip, I knew I had to keep doing something like that to make me feel that same way because I felt this sense of purpose like I never had before. I didn't
Yeah.
exactly know what that was, but right away. But I actually got malaria the last week I was there, and
Oh,
this family put me up, took care of me, and they put a little radio next to my cot. And the Second Battle of Fallujah was happening at that time, so I'm listening to the play-by-play of that while I'm, rehabilitating.
wow.
Honestly, just quarantining from malaria, um, and I just made the decision there. I was like, I'm coming home and I'm going to join the military. I thought I was going to be the Marines because they were the
Uh-huh.
main effort in the Second Battle of Fallujah, but I came back, went to the recruiting office, didn't have the best experience there, and then found out about the special forces. I found out about their motto, De Oppresso Liber, which means to free the oppressed. And the 18 X-ray program had started just a year or two prior,
Mhm.
and that was bringing people off the street like me who didn't necessarily have. You didn't need college. You didn't need um, yeah, special skills necessarily. You had to test well, both physically, psych eval, ASVAB, language aptitude tests. They had all these things you had to do well on to get this
Uh-huh.
contract. But still, even there, no guarantee that you'll make it through and earn your Green Beret. I mean, less than 10% of us from my class anyway that started basic training with that contract
Uh-huh.
finished and earned that Green Beret. So it was really a recruiting tool more than anything, I think.
On
But
that
also they were looking for people with different experiences to come and do that. And so yeah, that's the long story of what brought me to the military. But it's an important one because it really did kind of shape me
yeah.
at that time of my life.
It seems like, as we get into what you're doing now and have done, and then just the motto of the Green Berets had to have resonated with you big time considering you
Absolutely.
had just gone to a foreign country to help out.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I wasn't freeing any oppressed, I wasn't,
Right.
I didn't have a weapon. I wasn't part of any kind of coup or anything like that. I was simply, you know, literally building tents,
Yeah.
uh, passing out rice, playing soccer with, 100 kids in one soccer ball,
Mhm.
uh, assisting in the medical centers where I could, but mostly just stuff that anybody else could do. There was no, um, yeah, there was
Yeah.
there was there was not a lot of technicality to what I was doing,
Mhm.
but I think they were very appreciative and enamored by the idea that an American would leave what we have here, which sure it's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, leave what we have here and go over there and help. And like they just were just that alone, that concept was very foreign to them, for lack of a better term. They were like, I don't why would you leave? And I'm like, well, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, it is a great place, but my answer was, and it's true, like I didn't do anything to deserve that or earn that. I just got lucky.
Mhm.
And not everybody that's American was born in America to a good family. So I get it. Like I have that level of privilege, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for that opportunity, and I'm grateful for my parents and all that. We didn't always have a lot of money, but I always had two people that worked very hard and were good examples, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, I think that's part of the reason though, because I was like, well, they earned what they had. You know what I mean? And I want to do that too. And I feel like I'm out here chasing Hollywood, uh and I love that. I mean, movies helped save my life when I was a kid. But at the same time, like what have I put into this thing, to deserve
Mhm.
anything out of it? So there was an element of that there. And I think when I explained it to them that way, and also I was like, you know what? And you guys are this is some of the most generous people I've ever met. You guys don't even have anything, and you won't
Mhm.
take a dollar. You know what I mean? This is a great example for me. More people need to see and experience this way of living too, not such transactional lives like we have in the
Yeah.
states. You know,
Yep. That's cool. So you get in that 18 X-ray program, and then so in that program, did you go straight from basic to like airborne and then ranger? Or how did that all work?
you don't go to Ranger school. That's an optional school after you earn your Green Beret. So
Okay.
unless people, yeah. So for X-rays, it's not part of the program. There's certainly people that were conventional army or already in Ranger Battalion that had Ranger tabs, right? That already went, or after you graduate, that's often a school, especially for officers.
Yep.
Um, it is a badge of honor, and it's sort of a because as I understand it, I didn't go, but it's it's a suck fest as well, just
Hmm.
like the Q course, in a lot of ways, probably closer to selection and small unit tactics, and maybe Robin Sage, which are those phases we conduct out in the field. Um, so yeah, did not go to Ranger School though. No, it was a basic airborne school. Then we had SOP-C, Special Operations Preparatory Course, which
Okay.
was a month long, and it prepared us for selection.
I
And then you
got
go
you.
to SF selection, which was 24 days. If you pass or graduate, then you start the Q course, which is anywhere from a year to a year and a half, depending on your MOS, to earn your Green Beret. So it's a long deal. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
commitment. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So, did you get, can you get, like, recycled in that at all, or were you able, I don't know how that works versus
No, you can. You can. It just depends on if it was an injury,
Uh-huh.
um, or maybe you just didn't quite meet the standard on something, but they see something in you, that like this person
Mhm.
has a potential. It's different if you ever quit at any moment, that's it.
Yeah.
Like they don't, you can't unquit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the biggest determining factor. It's not so much natural selection. it's it's self-selection, you know what I mean? Really.
Yeah.
Um, it's those that tap out, and that does happen. Um, so once you quit anything, any phase, and pretty much any school, at least in the special operations community, and maybe more army wide, excuse me. If you quit, like you can't go back. You shouldn't be able to go back. You quit. There's a lot of other
Yeah.
people that probably want to go to that school. You can't. Yeah, that's just my opinion. But at least in a soft community, that's a very serious thing. You ring that bell, you hit that gong, whatever it is.
Mhm.
I don't care what branch you're in. Like you can't come back. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
you made that decision. That's a big decision, but it is permanent.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you basically yeah, you could. Like I honestly I recycled airborne school because I got hurt.
Uh-huh.
I got hurt because I got bit by a brown recluse in the barracks,
Oh.
which sucked. Yeah. I was out there, it was week 2, tower, um, before you go jump,
Mhm.
and I'm out there on the, um, I don't know if they called this a drop zone, but it's basically where they have the towers that pull up the chute. I can't think of what it's called, and then they let it go, and then you're under canopy, right? And you float down, and just so you get a
Uh-huh.
feel of what landing is like under canopy. You
Okay.
kind of practice that before you jump, before you go up, jump out of a plane at whatever we were at. I don't even know what the elevation we were jumping out of. Um, so I was out. They had the rope. You have these ropes that you're running around with to help like get the chute up there, and all of a sudden my foot started swelling up in my boot
Oof.
like fast, and I could feel it, and it was hurting, and it was like the pressure, and I just went to one of the cadre, one of the black hats, and I was like, "Hey," well, I didn't say "Hey," but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, uh, "Sergeant, my foot is swelling up in my boot. I don't know what's going on, but I can't flex it now." And he's like, "Did you roll it? Did you?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't remember doing that." He's like, "Well, go to the med shed." And I ran to the med shed and take my boot off. It's like turning purple. I had sausage toes already. It was bad.
Oh,
So they like cut me open, drained me, drained my leg, drained my foot, packed it with, gauze that was soaked in antibiotic.
wow.
And I was on crutches for like 2 weeks. And it was funny. I remember they let me, for the recycle thing, they let me have 2 weeks. And
Mhm.
after 2 weeks, I was still there on, recovery or whatever, because that's when the next class was coming through that
Uh-huh.
phase. If I still hadn't healed up in 2 weeks, I was gonna have to go to I don't know what unit. I mean, I wasn't airborne. I was at probably whatever is at Benning, because I was at Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Whatever infantry unit's at Fort Benning that isn't airborne, I probably just would have went there, and then I would have had to like reapply for airborne school and try to get back in the Q course. I mean, I have no idea what would have happened, but because I
Yeah.
wasn't fully healed up, but I was close enough. And they're like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." So we're out there at airborne school. I'm like limping around everywhere, just like trying to get through. You got to run 5 miles every day. I'm
Yeah.
like hobbling through the run, whatever. Airborne school was harder than it should have been for me physically. I barely made the standards because you know, uh, I was out of commission for a bit with that freaking brown recluse. Anyway,
Dang.
but
So
yeah,
you did.
so I recycled airborne. I didn't recycle any of the phases in the Q course though. I got through
Uh-huh.
in succession after that. Um, so yeah,
That's good. So when you finally get through all that, selection Q course and all that,
yeah.
by the time you get to your unit, are you at least an E5 or is it an E6 or how does that work?
No, I was sorry. Yes, you're an E5. You graduate. You earn if you're not because I was an E4 pretty much through the whole Q course, or at least most of it. I mean, I came in as an E3
Yeah.
after airborne. I I don't remember when I got my E4. It had to be in the Q course. It had to be at some point in the Q course.
Mhm.
Because it certainly wasn't in basic training or airborne school. So I went from a private first class to specialist, and then I think the day you graduate the Q course, you earn if you're not yet an E5, you earn you earn your stripes. So
Gotcha.
um, got that, and then went off to group. I think about a year later, I became an E6, something like that. But
Yeah. Were you at Bragg or where'd you end up?
so the Q course was all at Bragg for me, and then I went to 1-1, First Battalion, First Special Forces Group in Okinawa. So I was in Oki at Tori Station for about 6 months.
Okay.
Um, Ended up going to another selection course that we won't talk about, but people can guess. Let's
Mhm.
just go with that. Um, and got through selection. But in the actual training course, to be a part of that unit, uh, I got cut. I just didn't have what it takes, to be completely
Mhm.
honest. I hadn't deployed yet.
Yeah.
I was in such a rush to get out of Okinawa because I was going to go to the Philippines for a year, and
Mhm.
I just didn't want to do that. No offense, but like, I mean, no one probably really wanted to at that time. It's like we're going to Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's like
Yeah.
I wanted to go. That's why I signed up. That's why most of us signed up. I get it, but
Yep.
if there was a way around it, I was going to try. And
Mhm.
I had an opportunity to go to that selection course, and I was in good shape. Did well with my PT stuff, so I got in, went as hard as I could out there, got selected. Uh, sort of felt that imposter syndrome, which probably didn't help me early
Yeah.
on. Like I don't belong here. All these guys are either Rangers or Green Berets, or we had some recon dudes from Marine Corps, and they're all multiple deployments.
Yeah.
Outrank me certainly. Um,
Mhm.
and just better soldiers all around. I'm just not there yet. I don't have the experience. And I kind of knew that. And so I think I tried to overcompensate in a lot of ways and
Mhm.
try to maybe do too much and be too much um, when I was out there in the training course. And they sniffed that out, rightfully so. But the coolest part about that was not only what I learned in the 6 months I was out there,
Mhm.
but it was I mean, I go into my next ODA, my next special forces team, they were all, like, picking my brain about stuff, and I'm like, Dude, I ain't even been to war." They're like, "Yeah, but you've been to a pretty good shooting school."
Yeah.
Um, but it was that even when I got cut, they asked me what group I wanted to go to, what type of team, and we're gonna get you on a deployment as soon as we can. And like they made it happen. They
Heck
got me.
yeah.
I went out to 10th group in Fort Carson, which I really wanted. I loved that area. My mom's from Denver. Colorado Springs is beautiful. It's a great
Mhm.
place to train and just be, and to live, honestly. No offense to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And,
Colorado's gorgeous, man.
and Fort Campbell in Kentucky, first group, if I'd have went, my second choice would have been, if they'd have said, well, you have to go back to first group, I probably would have went to Fort Lewis, out in Seattle area, which
Yeah.
not a bad spot either. But if I had to pick it all over again, I would still pick 10th group and Carson. So I got to
Yeah.
pick that. I did request a Halo team because, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And they put me on a Halo team, went to Halo school. And then, it was also a team that, like, I got out there to Carson, and within a couple of months, I was in Iraq with that team, and with that ODA. So it all
Nice.
ended up working out exactly how it's supposed to. And,
Yeah. What year was that?
that was in 2007, 2007, 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So early '08 is when I went to Iraq,
Gotcha.
with Bravo Company, 3rd Battalion, 10th Group,
Cool.
all the way into '09. I was there for about 10 months.
Oh, that's a long one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a long one. Yeah. It's good
Y
though, for the most
yeah.
part.
I didn't know that group was even doing longer ones like that. Usually, guys rotate out quicker.
Yeah, I think 6 to 8 months was more the standard,
Yeah.
but I was part of the advon, so I went there a little early,
Okay.
um, also, and I might have stayed till the end also.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
remain
To
behind
kinda
too.
hand it over, but also when we were leaving too, things were changing in Iraq, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, things were already starting to change when we went there, you could feel that, I think
Mhm.
from most talking to most of the guys on my team from their prior deployment, they were in Mosul, very different,
Oh, yeah.
geographically too. We were down in Najaf, which is the Shiite holy city. It's right where the Tigris and Euphrates meet down in Babylon, like, very,
Wow.
very biblical, like, important area. The biggest cemetery in the world is right in the middle of Najaf in the city.
Really?
It's massive. It's like it takes you an hour to drive past it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
it's insane. It just keeps going.
Yeah, I was in Fallujah after the battle in '05, '06, and it was just blown to hell, man. It was wild.
Right. I went to yeah, I did go to we did go to Fallujah once over there, I think in '08. I can't even remember what our mission was for that, but it was just
Oh,
for a day. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
How many
mm,
so that's like '08-ish time. How long were you when did you get out of the leave the army?
well, I didn't leave till 15. But those
Okay.
last 4 years, I was in the guard while I was playing college football at Texas,
Oh,
if that
okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did I got done with the Q. I went to Okie. I came back to 10th group eventually.
Mhm.
Um, and then did a couple of years in 10th. Uh, and I guess closer to 2.5 years in 10th group.
Okay.
And I remember we had a mission in Israel as well. And I remember it was the end of our deployment in Iraq. I was up for reenlistment, or we were talking about, and they're like, "Hey, you should reenlist now before we head home, tax free, you
Yeah.
know, if you do it." Because I just had a 5 year contract on my initial enlistment, and
Yeah.
I was like, I just don't know yet. Like, I know I want to keep doing something in this space, but I just don't know. I don't know. Like, I do. Part of me wants to go to college, and like at that time, I was 27,
Mhm.
turning 28, and it's like, not that you have to go before you're fully in your 30s, but for some reason
Yeah.
that number in my head was like, once I hit 30, I'm not going to college, you know? So I ended up making the decision to that I was going to get out and go to school and try and play football. That was the decision I made. I
Okay.
was actually still in Iraq when I started training for that possibility, starting to learn how to backpedal and running some routes out in the sand on base behind the HESCO barriers and
Okay.
Google and YouTubing football drills. Anytime we had some free time, I was doing that. And
Wow.
then yeah, so then I came back and took some community college classes through Central Texas College online.
Mhm.
Uh, just because I didn't have the high school grades to get in, so I just like, well, I can transfer in as a sophomore. And a lot of the um, schools I got in the military through the Q course specifically, they transferred as like my language school, for instance. I didn't have to take any language in college. I
Nice.
tested out a language. I didn't test out, but I guess you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
have for my degree, they were like, oh, you require 6 credits in a foreign language, and I had 6 credits worth of foreign language training from DLI.
Yeah.
Worth that to brag.
First, what language did you learn, and then what major did you pick in college?
Korean was my language,
Okay.
uh, and the major undergrad I took physical culture and sports.
Okay.
I got my master's degree in advertising eventually, but that was my undergrad.
Okay.
So it was good. I mean, it wasn't the hardest major in the world. A lot of players on the team
Mhm.
took that as well. I picked it because I thought that I might want to get into coaching first.
Okay.
That was my first thought. Like, I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. besides sports, and the military stuff was still appealing to me. I ended up once I got into school and I tried out for the football team and made it. I was
Mhm.
like, all right, I'm on the football team now. I'm definitely gonna like live this college experience out to the fullest.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I decided to do was just re-enlist in the Guard, in the Texas National Guard. So I joined in 2011. I enlisted into 19th Group. So I spent 4 years with 19th Group, and from there I went. I did two J sets in Bulgaria and Greece, and then the summers before my junior and senior year, I went to Afghanistan for about 3.5 months, and they put me back on an ODA, and
Okay.
I just did the thing for, you know,
Dude,
two
in bet
last rodeos, not one last rodeo,
in between school semesters, I'm just going to
Yeah.
combat.
Dude, it was a crazy college experience, but I was in my at that time, I was in my early 30s, and
Yeah.
I was like, "I can't hang around here all summer like that weird guy," you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I was already the weird guy on campus.
Right.
It's also humid as balls in Austin. I didn't wanna stay there, it's a
Yeah.
nice dry heat up in the mountains of Afghanistan. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
That I have to so I went to community college when I left the Marines at 22, but I
okay.
was going through a divorce with a kid. Like,
Why were you married to a kid? That was
yeah.
good, dude. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's a pretty common story for
Oh, yeah.
parents.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever you do, all the DIs at end of boot camp, don't go home and ask some girl to marry you. I'm like, "Cool, I'm gonna do it." So,
Yeah, they shouldn't have told you that. It's like a parent telling you, "Don't do that thing." You're like, "I'm definitely doing that.
yeah.
You told me not to."
Yeah, so, obviously, it didn't work out, for the better, but, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine doing that as, someone who worked as hard to be an SF in that whole world versus being a regular grunt, getting out, and that's where I joined the Guard too, so I always like to go to the Guard and go to school, but not later on at that intensity level too, and then go to Afghanistan between semesters. That's wild, man, and play football.
Hey, I chose all of it. I volunteered for all of it. I felt like I was in my prime, and I just didn't wanna sit around. I still struggle with sitting around now. It's hard for me to relax. I'm not good at vacation. I don't do well
Okay.
there. I'm trying to be better about it because I do wanna enjoy my life at the same time, but, at
Yeah.
that time, it was like, well, all these things I'm doing are fun and pretty
Mhm.
awesome in my opinion, like, from going to Afghanistan, like, not all of it's awesome, of course, but, like, I
Yeah.
enjoyed a lot of it. You get to do some crazy things, you know,
Well,
uh,
there's
and some powerful things,
there's
important.
a big part, like, you know, on my deployments, and I'm sure it's same for you, and anytime you could make any small difference in anyone's life while you're there, that's a really cool feeling, and then, um, obviously, to be the man in the arena is just something about it that,
Yeah,
definitely appealing.
I agree 100%. No, I mean, that's I tell it to people all the time because, like, it's an unpopular war. I
Yep.
get it, especially when we talk about, we get into Iraq and
Yeah.
all of that. Why, stuff that's way above our pay grade.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, even in Iraq, even that first deployment, man, we stood up an Iraqi SWAT team and an Iraqi Special Forces team.
Wow.
And the pride that those guys had, and they had no education and resources. They didn't have anything.
Mhm.
And they didn't have largely a military or a government that really supports them. They
Yeah.
definitely don't have a community, a country that thanks them for their service. They don't have any of that. And they
Yeah.
still were tearing up when they got their certificates graduating that course because they're fighting for democracy. They're trying to change and develop and grow and not just become that's the other thing, man. People are all like, "Oh, you're just trying to push America on them. America, America, America." Like, no, that's not what we're trying to do. There's so much oppression, man, and like the women
Yeah.
and children there. I wish you could go see that and experience how tough it is for them. And they don't even know. Most of them don't even realize how unfortunate they are, or at least the potential that's there. And some of them do. A lot of them do.
Yeah. But
And once they
the
taste what it's like to have some agency in their life and have
Mhm.
some rights, and some freedom and choice, man, like it's eye-opening for a lot of them, and they were just grateful, man. So I had such an overwhelming experience of people that were grateful, then I had people that were pissed off at
Yeah.
me.
And I would say looking back now, like I honestly I remember being in Iraq, talking to the guys in my squad in my platoon, and we just like, why are we here? Like obviously it's a lot going on, whatever, we're there. But
Yeah.
to see I think Iraq, I mean I might be wrong, I'm not fully up to date on everything going on there, but to see how ISIS moved in and we assisted them, but we were not the main force in defeating ISIS. We kind of they've earned their own like democracy and freedom. And I feel like it's a lasting societal change versus what Saddam was doing there before we came. So for better, or worse, whatever, I think it's really leaning towards better that we have able to have a lasting impact in Iraq. Um, Me personally, based on just what I've studied a little bit, but
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I hope it becomes what Afghanistan was in the '60s, before the
yeah,
Russian invasion, before the Soviet invasion, I should say.
yeah,
Because that was a very developed place, big
hmm
on education,
yeah,
parliament, democracy. Like these were things that were like, this is what was happening.
yeah,
Um, and then, of course, when the Soviets came in, crumbled everything.
hmm
We backed the Mujahideen because that was a fighting force that we could get behind and we could sort of subversively support in a lot of ways and all that.
yeah,
Fought them off, we gave them SAMs and they shot down birds,
yeah,
and and all that stuff happened. But then now what have we, somewhat created? Because then they got, they were basically, wasn't that the day before 9/11 or something that the
yeah,
head of Mujahideen was murdered? It was
yeah.
something.
They killed Masood.
Masood, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
That
like
was
that. It was at least that week, if not like the day before.
no, it was the day before.
The day before, yeah, and then
Yeah.
9/11, and it's like, so, first of all, we had no way of knowing that, but, like, okay, if we didn't do nothing, if we never intervened, then, like, Soviet Russia starts there, and that's a big buffer zone, that place, Afghanistan, right? And
Yeah.
they maybe defeat there, and then who knows what the world looks like? It's the same thing in some ways as Normandy, Like,
hmm
and I hate that Pearl Harbor happened, but it definitely triggered us into this conflict, into World War II.
Yeah.
And if we didn't do that, what if we waited another year or two and it was too late, you know? And they're
Yeah.
coming across, and the Germans are coming across the Atlantic, and the Japanese are coming across the Pacific at the same time. We'd have been
Yeah.
hosed. Hosed. We're not, I'm sorry, but like we were like the 13th superpower in the world at that time. We were not what we are today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We became that because of World War II. But anyway,
Yeah.
totally digress there. But like I understand unpopularity, and I don't agree with all of the reasoning for why and when
hmm
and how long we were there and all that. I'm with you. What I do
Yeah.
think is we should have had a smaller force, maybe more special operations led
hmm
in Iraq and in Afghanistan. You have a few hundred, even maybe, troops
Yeah.
on the ground that are special operations troops continuing to train, advise, assist, and you know maybe you're leaving some smaller bases there, like we have in Germany and
Yeah.
Japan,
So
Korea,
many things that
and
us
others.
guys on the ground, even enlisted, like we're intelligent enough to be like, I don't
Yeah,
know, like I always described it like this, and we'll move on because we could go on for Afghanistan forever. But I always looked at Afghanistan like the Peshawar region in Pakistan is the anthill, and we wouldn't cross into Pakistan and destroy the anthill at the base.
right.
The way I looked at it on a very simplistic level. But
Yeah, if it wasn't another country, if that border was imaginary,
yeah,
it'd be a different situation. But those borders, man, they're crazy, they're trippy.
I know.
It's interesting how that all works because it is a new, and now you're talking about a different government and a different group of allies potentially, and different. It
hmm
just,
A lot of play above our level
yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
it's spider webs and many different patterns. And
Yeah,
anyway,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
that,
that's an interesting point too. But I always go back to the people, as you mentioned.
mhm,
Whether the civilians, but and also a lot of the vets, the military, the Afghan, Iraqi military, the
yeah,
soldiers. I remember being in Afghanistan, my last deployment, 2014, and just like going on missions with these guys that, they just figure it out. They don't have those resources like we do, but they're yeah, they're crafty people, man.
Yeah.
And they've also like I'm hanging out with a guy who's, say we're both 33 years old at the time. Um and I start thinking for a minute. I'm just like, this dude has been fighting his entire life,
Yeah.
full time. You know what I mean? Like full time. Like he is not he has not had a break. He doesn't go home 6 months, even if it's 6 months on, 6 months off, which is like a crazy tempo for, someone in the military to be on deployments for. Even
Yeah.
with that, like this guy's 13 years straight on. He hasn't stopped. That was crazy to think about. And I'm just like, this is every day,
Yeah.
every day. Like they're badasses in that way, man. And they
Mhm.
still were fighting. They still cared. They still were trying. And that's why it's so heartbreaking when you see like what happened, how it ended,
Yeah.
the fall of Kabul and all that. And
Well,
just
so kind of tying that in, like, I think that's a good place to get
get out of there.
into.
Should
Well,
we
no,
leave?
honestly,
Should we pull out
no,
of that conversation?
but, no, but so talking about, how we left Afghanistan, being an Afghanistan vet as well, and I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and I got to enjoy being a part of, an organization who helped start merging vets and players in Las Vegas. I used to go there for about 3 years,
Yeah.
and when that happened in 21, I had not moved to Michigan yet, and, that I just remember I was like, "I am not missing MVP today. Like, I need to go." And all of us were sitting in the circle after, just crushed, man, and, I kinda get the feeling just thinking about it now, but it's like, it was so important to have all those brothers and sisters around us, and
Yeah.
eh, of the MVP group was so empowering in that moment. That was like the place I knew I needed to be. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you ever want to open one here, let me know. but
Yeah, we're always
but
looking to keep growing, man. I would love it. First of all, I want to get up to Ann Arbor and go to a Michigan game. I'm
yeah,
obviously a Longhorn fan, and we had a good back and forth there.
yeah, you didn't come up
For
last year.
a couple seasons. Nah, I did not. I wish I would have. Now I'm going to be in Columbus very soon for the Texas Ohio State game. I don't know if
Oh,
this
okay.
podcast will already be out by then or not, but I'll be up there. Um, Yeah, I wish I would have went because Ann Arbor and Madison are the two like Big Ten schools that have always been on my list of like I gotta go visit. They sound like a great time. I've heard they're awesome
Okay.
college towns. Like,
I'm 20 minutes away and I haven't been yet. My whole family lives in Iowa City. My both
okay,
sides of my family, and I lived there for a few years. My grandpa taught there, so I've been to a lot of Iowa games. That's fun.
that's
But
cool.
yeah, so MVP, so you get around, you finish college, um, and then so you got were you undrafted free agent?
Exactly.
Okay, so you undrafted free agent gets invited to Seahawks camp.
Yep.
Man, that had to be pretty wild. It's like, wow, how did I get here?
Dude, it was. I mean, I thought college was amazing. I honestly didn't think I was going to get a shot for multiple reasons. One of them, I was 34
Yeah,
uh, after 33 my senior year playing. I had
wow.
just turned 34. Um, and I got to play in a senior all-star game. And I think the all-star game was like either right before or right after my birthday.
Mhm.
Either way, I mean, I was like, that's old for an NFL player anyway.
Oh,
So like I played college football at, I'm like 5'10", 5'11", 100 and at the most 195 pounds is what I would weigh in at. Like I was not a big college player. Yeah.
and you're a long snapper?
I was a long snapper. Yeah, my senior year, I was even lighter because of that. I came back from Afghanistan. I got down to like 170 in Afghanistan because it was
Oh, yeah.
just we were going hard and like I was still training and stuff, but I was crazy lean. I had no fat because I just was burning calories constantly.
Yeah.
And then I get back to training camp. I put on like 10 pounds in training camp. Everybody else is losing weight. And so my senior year, I got up to like 185. And that was it. And that's what I graduated at. So
Wow.
I get out, I get to play in the senior all-star game in Charleston that was at the Citadel, actually. It was called the Medal of Honor Bowl. So the
Okay.
Medal of Honor, I don't know if it was Medal of Honor Society or Medal of Honor Center for Leadership. I can't remember which organization actually.
My old CO went there.
Okay. Oh, the
Yeah.
Citadel?
Mhm.
Yeah. So they hosted the game, and the week of practices, there's all these scouts from the NFL, like some even people from front offices that were evaluating talent. Most of the guys playing in this game, it wasn't like the Reese's Senior Bowl, which is the big one. Most of the guys in this game were like middle rounders to undrafted.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if anybody in that game was picked above the third round,
Uh-huh.
but it was, but it was still like it was a fun game. It was a cool group. I got to be a long snapper for one of the teams. And I got interviewed by like 4 NFL scouts when I was out there from the like the Browns, Vikings, Dolphins. I want to say it's either the Steelers or the Bears, maybe Arizona. I can't remember, but I had a few teams like talking to me, interested, and I was like how old I am, and like obviously I'm small, and they're just like, yeah, but you're a good snapper. You got to be consistent. They're like, look, you're going to have to put on like 30, 40 pounds. That's a reality. You're going to
Yeah.
have to do that. But like, you know, you're in good shape, better shape than probably any long snapper in the league as far as like, you know,
Yeah.
conditioning. Maybe not strength or size, certainly, or whatever. But
Yeah.
uh, so I just was like, you know what? Why not? If these guys are saying I should, then I should.
Uh-huh.
So I put on like 30 pounds in 4 months, man. It wasn't all good weight, but I just packed it on. Had
Yeah.
pro day. Um, and the draft rolls around and I get a call from 2 teams. The St. Louis Rams, they were still out in St. Louis at the time. This is in 2015, 10 years ago. 10 years ago this week, actually. And sorry, 10 years ago this week is when I played in the preseason.
Okay.
Um, this was May 2nd, 2015. It was known as the greatest day in sports history. It was the Pacquiao Mayweather fight.
Oh,
Kentucky Derby was the same day.
wow.
And there was also multiple game sevens in hockey in the NBA. So it was a crazy day in sports. And that was also the day that I not only got the call from Coach Fisher and the Rams, I got the call from Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. And so I had about 30 minutes to decide which team I was going to sign with. Because they got a whole list of people they want to sign as undrafted free agents. They only got so many spots.
Okay.
So I talked to my agent, I talked to my dad, I talked to my buddies, and my buddies, 2 of the guys I was with when I got that call were actually from the state of Washington. So they were like, come on, bro, you got to go to the Seahawks. And my agent was like, you probably have a better chance in St. Louis. They were 4-12 last year. Like they're looking to make some changes and, they probably need some leadership.
Mhm.
And then I talked to my dad, and my dad was from Oregon. But he also was like, he's like, look, I mean, so let me back up a little bit. Brad Keys, one of my best friends, we were on the same ODA together.
Mhm.
Tragically, he passed away in 2012 in a
Okay.
training accident. And Brad, when we were in Iraq in '08, he's on my ODA and he's telling me, because I told him we were sitting around a rooftop campfire drinking alcohol we weren't supposed to have.
Mhm.
And he said, if I told him my dream, was one day to try and play football somewhere. I wanted to play football. I never played growing up, and it was my biggest regret. And he
Uh-huh.
was like, "Dude, well, you got to make it happen. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go for it at some point."
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, yeah, maybe when I get out, I'll go to a junior college. And he was just like, "Hell no! If you get out, if you go, you're going somewhere big. You have to." He's like, "I know you. I know how you are. You're a Green Beret, man. Like you ain't doing that. You're gonna go to a big. You got to go to a big school."
Uh-huh.
So then I get out. I end up going to Texas. Part of that was Brad's suggestion.
Mhm.
And now I've got this opportunity, and it's like the 4-12 Rams in St. Louis or the Seahawks who've been to back-to-back Super Bowls. They were like the it team at the time.
Yep.
It's Marshawn Lynch, who my locker ended up being next to.
Wow.
It's Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, Michael Bennett, Jimmy Graham,
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, like, just superstars, a lot of potential Hall of Famers. Um, and so, yeah, the decision was kind of made for me through that, but it was also,
Wow.
so thinking about Brad, but thinking about, that's
Yeah.
something my dad kind of said too. My dad was like, all things being equal. He's like, what's your genuine odds here of making the team? And I said, not good, no matter where I go. And he's
Mhm.
like, well, then I feel like you should probably go to Seattle, don't you think? And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I called the Seahawks back and I was like, I'm in, and got to go up to not only off season, OTAs, rookie mini camp, but I got the invite to training camp, and then I got to play in the preseason game before Tavares Jackson broke his ankle in that preseason game I played in, and they had to sign another quarterback like the next day,
Mm.
and they had to let somebody go, even though it wasn't quite that next round of cuts.
Yeah.
And so having two long snappers on the roster just didn't make a ton of sense. You're never going to have two on the roster for the regular season anyway. And
Yeah.
the other guy that I was competing with, he'd been there for 6 years. He was also 6 years younger than me and um, about 30 pounds heavier than me. And, he was good, he was a good blocker. And, um, they made the right decision. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to say that. I hate to admit that, but it's true. Like, if I was a coach, I would have cut me too.
But it's I love how genuine you've been and, like, honest in this interview because, like, just the fact that you know, went and tried out for that team in the Army and were like, "Hey, I went so hard that I got offered, as an undrafted free agent, and I chose the more successful team even though it'd be harder." Like, so what you got cut, but, like, just the fact you put yourself in to make it that far is got like, that feels really good. I would imagine it does, and, like, you can't ever look and feel bad about that, man, like,
No,
that's
I don't. If I had to do all that again, it's not that I don't have regrets in life. I regret things I've said or done or
yeah.
didn't say or didn't do, sure. But of the choices I have made, especially those big choices that kind of take you down a certain road or another road for a while,
Mhm.
I don't think I'd change any of those. I think I'm good with that. There's
Yeah.
always those regrets of like, I wish I would have talked to that girl or,
Yeah.
I wish I would have been paying attention to the road and not looking at my phone when I rear-ended that person or something, stuff like that we all have.
Yep.
Um, of course. But I'm pretty confident in the fact that I would continue to live and hopefully will continue to live the same way I'm living so far. And
Mhm.
and that's a tough one because it could end at any moment, like it did with Brad. You know what I mean? That stuff.
Yep.
It's not up to us. Most things aren't.
Yeah.
But the things that we can control, our effort and those choices you get to make.
Mhm.
I'm always just big on life short anyway. Even if you live to be 100, life short. Uh, do that thing you want to do. Jack
Yeah.
Kerouac says, climb that goddamn mountain. You know what I mean? Like, tomorrow's not promised. Today's not even fully promised. It's just uh, be grateful for it. And if there's things you want to do in life, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be little tiny things. It could be huge impossible dreams. Like if you're not pursuing them,
Yeah.
then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing this opportunity, whether you're fortunate enough to be an American or not. Whatever you're able to do it. If you're passionate about or interested in it, do it because it will end. And God forbid any of us are laying on our deathbed, knowing when we're going to die and thinking about all those things that we didn't do. You know,
Yeah.
or that we should have done or should have said, like, man, what a terrible feeling that would be. I don't want to, that scares me more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a perfect way to think about things, man. So after you, go through that, you get cut. Tell us, the story of how MVP happened and how you got involved there and all that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
obviously, anyone, who hasn't seen it, make sure you go check out MVP the movie. I just
Yes.
watched it recently, and, like, I was like, "Dang, that hit the heartstrings, man." It's a great movie, and it's based on true events and everything. So tell us all about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, for those before I forget, if you haven't watched the MVP movie, go it's it's um it's still we were on Paramount Plus. They licensed it for a couple of years, but it just moved from there to you can still rent it on Prime or Apple TV for a couple of bucks.
Yep.
Or if you have Tubi, you can watch it with commercials on Tubi and places
Okay.
like that. So it's on some of those free apps too. Now after it's been out for about 2.5 years now. But but anyway, um yeah, I'll you know what I'll do? I'll give you a quick synopsis of the movie because that really kind of tells the story about MVP in a lot of ways, and then I'll tell you about how I got involved with it. But the movie, it's based on like you said, it's based on real people. Um, a Marine who's living in a homeless shelter and a former NFL player, first year out of the league, who lives in a nice house with a wife and a kid, and you'd think has everything. Both of these people who are in their early 30s, are going through the same struggle, the same challenges that go along with losing that uniform and that identity and purpose and structure and team and locker room and reason to get up at 6 a.m. and train and prepare and all those things. All of a sudden, it's gone, and they don't know what to do next. They don't know who they are.
Hmm.
Tony Gonzalez says it best in the movie. He plays himself, and he's telling a real life story about himself, and he says, I'd peaked and I'd never be great again. Thinking about that just broke me. And this guy, Tony Gonzalez, a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the best tight end to ever play the game.
Yeah.
You talk to people like Randy Couture, who served in the military and was the 6-time heavyweight champion of the world, also in the movie.
Yeah.
Same things, man. He's like, well, I never made the Olympic team. I never, you're just like, damn, someone like that even. It's just hard to walk away from. And myself, I'd gotten out of the military in 2015, February. May, I got signed with the Seahawks. So now I have another, and I had that college uniform as well to help
Mm.
me transition from active duty to the guard. So I,
Yeah.
I was, I didn't even think about this. That was not intentional. It was just, that's just the way it went. I wasn't thinking, oh, I need to wean myself off of these things.
Uh-huh.
Um, because all of a sudden, when I did get cut from Seattle, there was no weaning. It was like every day at the facility, getting ready for Sunday, the next opportunity to play again, hopefully.
Hmm.
Um, and then it's just over. I'm cut. I'm on a flight that day back home,
Dang.
and I don't have a plan for tomorrow. I don't have a plan for next week. I'm like, hopefully another team calls. No teams called.
Wow,
I was
fast.
just quick, and it was like I'd lost the camouflage just 7 months, 6, 7 months before that.
Okay.
Um, and didn't even think about being a veteran yet because I got football to worry about. And now
Yeah.
football's over. And it's like, all right, I'm 34. Just like Tony said, I feel like I've peaked, but
Hmm.
I'm only 34. Like I might live another 40, 50, 60 years. Like,
Yeah.
dang, you know what I mean? Like this is crazy. I feel like I'm just starting. Uh, that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing to think about. And I was thinking about what made sense for me was maybe I'll just go back in the military. I'm only 34, actually. You know what? Yeah, I am young. I am good. I'm in good shape. I can go do that. And I'd met Jay Glazer, who ended up
Uh-huh.
co-founding MVP with me. And he helped train me at his gym prior to that opportunity in Seattle and helped get me my agent. And, was just uh supportive guy. Just he does that with a lot of athletes. And he said, hey Nate, look, what's the way he said it? He said, like, I don't know what you can't do. I'll say that, and I'm not going to tell you what to do with the rest of your life.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's probably a lot of vets that feel like you do. And I know from my experience around these athletes in the game, the fight game and the football game, that they struggle with losing that uniform too.
Hmm.
And they need to know that there's still a value and they still have a tribe and a team and there's still a lot they can do. They just they think they need that community. What they're missing more than anything is the locker room. And I pushed back on it at first a bit because I just didn't. I want to be real careful with comparing the military experience to an athlete's experience because, of course, war and playing sports are different. The battlefield and the ball field, just like we say in the movie,
Yeah.
not the same thing. Don't want to compare those two things, but the locker room and the team room are very similar. You know, there's
Mhm.
mutual respect between both those groups, heroes to each other. The uniform, the camaraderie, like this is who you feel like you are. You know, it's not, it doesn't feel like an occupation. It feels like this is who you are when you're a
Yeah.
soldier or a Marine or a football player.
One both sides invested so much physically and mentally and time, so that's also similar, like, you have to respect both sides that you are the type of people who go that hard, you know?
Right. Exactly. They know both sides kind of know that the other side pours a lot into this. And, you know, there's no promise of tomorrow with either of those things. Sometimes it's life and death, like in the military.
Mhm.
Sometimes it just means there's no promise of tomorrow. You're going to walk in and your helmet's going to be hanging in that locker room. Like, you know what I mean? It might be a little
Yeah,
pink slip. And it's just like, that's the way it goes. It's just the business of it, you know?
yeah.
Um, and so that's why we started MVP. It was just to recreate that locker room. It wasn't with a bunch of has-beens, you know? It
Mhm,
was people, and that's why it was important for us then, and even more so now, to also communicate with, work with, spend time with active duty, current players, not just to like prepare for the end, but just
mhm.
because like you don't know when that is going to end. And you want to it's nice to know that you're not just thrown out on the street, right? Like there's a lot of people and organizations that are there to help you, you know, and to be there
Yeah,
for you. It's okay to like utilize those resources and benefits that you've earned. You should, you know. That's why they're there. So that's all we're really doing. We're not doing anything. um we're not therapists. But
yeah.
we huddle up after we work out, as you know, and
Yep.
it's an open forum, peer to peer. Talk about your shit. It could be good shit too. It doesn't all have to be heavy and negative and
Yeah.
suicide stuff. Like that's
We
unfortunately we've lost three members over the years to their own hands. One of them was a trainer out in Vegas, Tim Lane. He's a legend.
Oh, yeah.
And we
He
always honor Tim, you know, and
dude,
hope
that
he
hit hard.
honors his that was
Tim
his
was
yeah.
Tim was something else, man.
Tim
He
was
was
something else, man. He was. And that guy, there's a lot of members that'll tell you Tim held on for probably 10 years longer than he would have because of MVP and the people that were associated with it, not just the organization, but
yeah.
those type of people, because he wanted to be there for other fighters who had, left the ring, warriors,
Yep.
and also his family that he'd gotten to know in the military. Like he hung on for a lot longer, and it's still tragic and sad. You don't want to lose people like that, but you
Yeah.
also got to look at all the good that those people did, and
Mhm.
remember that, honor that too, because we don't all know what it's like to be in that place. I've never had that thought cross my mind that I want to take my own life. I know what
Mhm.
it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to be in a hole. I know what it's like to feel hopeless at times, but I don't
Yeah.
know what it's like to feel that. So I'm careful to, careful to judge that. And I think that's something at MVP we all talk about as well.
Yeah.
But we have lost those guys. We lost a member in Seattle and we lost a member in LA over the 10 years. But
Mhm.
at the same time, over 10 years, I'm working with, thousands of vets and athletes, many of whom are high risk for that stuff. Um, you know, one is unacceptable, right?
Yeah.
One is it's never acceptable, but at the same time, like you got to remember, we got to remember as an organization, as a team, not just the staff, not just the founders,
Mhm.
members, how many people you've impacted, how many lives you probably have helped save too, just by showing up, not by saying anything special or doing anything, just showing up for each other.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I like how you said, getting people who are still involved, so not because they could see these resources and all this stuff's there when they're gonna get out, and that hit hard with me because I've been part-time military for 16, 17 years now after being active, and, um, knowing that things like MVP exist and having been involved in one for several years, like, that's pretty empowering, and then, uh, that's why we're super excited for the Bunker app is we're gonna make it so easy for veterans to get on an app, and there's only vets in there, and then you can find other vets near you so that you can meet up and commune and iron sharpens iron. And I've seen that happen in the MVP circle, man. So we're so excited. We're looking at probably around January it's gonna launch. And
Nice.
yeah, so we're hoping to help you guys grow and more people to see MVP as well, because I know firsthand for sure how amazing that organization is and what you guys were able to get started. So
I love it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Keep us up to date on all that for sure.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, uh this has been super fun. Tell us about some other things you're working on right now.
Yeah. Um, so I'm also on the board of a couple other organizations. The GWAT Memorial. They're putting in a global war on terror memorial in DC. Michael Rodriguez would be a great guest for you to have, by the way, Rod.
Okay.
Happy to connect you if that's something you want
Let's
to do.
do it.
To have Rod on and talk through that more, and he's going to be able to articulate it much better than I am.
Yeah.
Um, in leading that charge over there and doing that, but it's important. It's a 20-year war. Typically, there's after a war ends, it's at least 10 years before they even entertain the idea of putting a memorial in a DC. Well,
Uh-huh.
that sort of got scrapped because of how long and how many um, generations of warriors
Yeah.
were part of this, right? And
Mhm.
so he's leading that charge. That's a really cool deal. And then also, I'm on the Water Boys board. Waterboys.org is that website. The
Okay.
initiative I co-founded with Chris Long, who Chris was a longtime NFL player, won a couple of Super Bowls. Um, and he started a clean water project out in East Africa. So what we do, the initiative I co-founded is called Conquering Killy. We bring veterans and NFL players, sometimes current, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes active duty guys are on leave or whatever. And we go climb Mount Kilimanjaro a
Wow.
week or two after the Super Bowl, and we raise money throughout the year in the process for clean water wells. And they're solar powered, fully sustainable, built by local people, but overseen by an organization
Uh-huh.
that makes sure that these practices are done in the most efficient way possible, and making sure that the money raised is actually going just to that well and just to those people. Every one of those wells serves anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000
Wow.
people, largely in Tanzania, some in Kenya as well, but also crop production, animals, healthcare. It even leads to education because often schools are built next to these
Oh,
pump
cool.
sites. These wells are, so it's a really special thing. Water truly is transformative in much of
Yeah.
the developing world. And then personally, um, I'm back on the movie train. I never lost that interest, and it took me about 15 years to circle back to it
Uh-huh.
after the military. But I finished my master's degree by doing an internship with Peter Berg, who directed Friday Night Lights and Lone Survivor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then started writing and eventually producing and directing on my own. It started out honestly with I was cast in some roles, acting in like 12 Strong and Den of Thieves and This Is Us and a few other show called Mayans that was on for a few years. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
most recently, I guess it's still a couple years ago now, but 3 years ago now, but the Terminal List, I was in the Terminal List.
Mhm.
Um, and then I started hosting. I hosted an NFL Network series for a couple of years and a Discovery Channel series. But I really wanted to make a movie, kind of start to finish, and be on more the creative side. And that's how MVP came about. That was the first one that I directed. I also co-wrote and produced it as well.
Mhm.
And Wes, who you've had on,
Yeah, my boy.
yeah, Weston Scott, great guy. He helped me produce that as well as was my assistant director on the project. And anytime I was on camera acting, he was actually having to sort of direct the scenes. So
Uh-huh.
he was very involved in that project, man. But so I'm always grateful to Wes for making that happen, and so many others. It was a great team.
Yeah.
Um, but did that, and then produced a few other things since then. And I think this year I'll be involved in at least in one or two more films before the end of the year. Um, on the producing side and potentially playing a role in front of the camera as well.
Fun.
And then hopefully early next year, um, directing another film, which I'm excited about. So I've got a few right now that are in development, but there's one or two in particular that are really close for us to kind of green lighting and getting rolling on. And
Cool.
so you
And in
can't wait.
between
You just
that,
got to make it happen. You got to raise what you can and then just go make your movie.
yeah.
Might not be as much as you hoped, but you figure it out. So
And in
that's
between
that's the main stuff right now. Oh, and the last thing, this is another big one. is I
Yeah.
co-founded a meat company called 8 Primal.
Okay.
So, it's basically veteran owned, all out of Texas. Um, it's
Yeah.
all supporting the local farmer there, and so it's family owned farms in Texas, and um, beef, pork, and chicken. But our staple really is beef, and it's all grass fed, grain finished, no hormones, antibiotics, preservatives, no bullshit. All the
Uh-huh.
good stuff. And like ethically raised, ethically done. I mean, these are truly open range cattle that have a lot of land to graze on, and
Yeah.
let their
Heck yeah.
mind a bit. So that's a cool project. So 8primal.com, the number 8, uh,
Okay.
to go check that out.
For
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah,
love it,
we
man.
we just launched on Veterans Day, and we've been doing pretty well. So we've taken our time, as far as like marketing and advertising, because we'll have somebody post about it, and it's a good problem to have. We'll get 10, 20 orders like that, and then we're scrambling to like figure out, make sure everything's right, make sure we got, so we're getting there, but it's in a better place now. We've got a bigger distribution facility, and things have been kind of cranking out, and it's high quality stuff, and it's all from Texas. Like a lot of these other companies. I don't want to badmouth other companies, and rightfully, they're probably still better options in grocery stores, a lot of them. But the meat comes from other countries. It's from all over the place. It's not a
Yeah.
ton American meat, and so I think that's important to us. And so we're starting just in Texas because I'm familiar with Texas, and obviously
Yeah.
Texas beef is good beef, and we'll go from there.
Dude, that's awesome. And between now and then, we'll see you in Men's Warehouse commercials.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Joseph
saw that the
Abood
other
is a partner, man. So I sport the Joseph Abood brand of suits. I love it. I think we're gonna try to do some sort of Men's Warehouse activation around Veterans Day, and hopefully get some deep discounts for our homies that need a suit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Nate, like, everyone go support what he's doing. He only does cool stuff, obviously.
Obvious.
And, no, it's cool, man, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
Excited to share this one with our brothers and sisters, and just move forward and, you know, making our veteran community stronger and in our country. This is awesome, man. So
Hey,
thank you so much for
we
your
gotta
time.
the way in that charge, Eli, and you're one of the guys doing it. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, remember everyone, bunker-bros.com, hit the shop, check out the podcast, and make any donations so we can get this app in the hands of our brothers and sisters. And until next time, thanks, Nate.
Thank you, brother. See
Bye.
ya.
Incoming, incoming, incoming.